If you're new to Flutter, then you more than likely don't have the software installed that you need to do Flutter. So if you own an Intel-based Mac, I'm going to show you how to install that software now. So we have a brand new installation of Mac OS Monterey here. First thing we're going to do is install Flutter itself. We're going to open up our web browser and go to flutter.dev. We'll click on Get Started up here at the top. We will click on Mac OS. So right here, I can download the zip file for Flutter. So it automatically extracted for me. If it doesn't do that for you, you can just double click on the zip file and it should open for you. So I'm going to move Flutter from this download folder. I'm going to click copy. If this is a fresh install for you as well, you can click on view up here at the top and say show path bar. And I'm going to go into users Tommy. I'm going to put the Flutter folder here. So I'm going to right mouse click and then I'm going to hold down the Alt key and then click move item here. So now we have to make sure that Flutter's in our path so we can access it anywhere we want to access it. I'm going to grab this export path here. And then I'm going to open up the terminal by clicking on Command Space and typing in terminal. Inside our home folder, we're going to type in nano space .zshrc. We're going to right mouse click and paste. And then we're going to edit this. We're going to take this out. And you're going to put wherever you put your Flutter folder. I'm going to put here users Tommy Flutter bin. I'm going to hit Control X. It's going to ask me if I want to save. I say yes. I want to save it to that file name. Now I'm going to type in source.zshrc. So you can now close the terminal window. I'm going to right mouse click down here and hit quit. And then I'll open it again. And you should be able to type in echo path. And you'll see that path that you put in there inside the path variable. Now if we type in flutter -- version, it's going to ask us to install the command line developer tools for Git. So I'm going to click install here. I'm going to agree to the terms. Okay, it says the software was installed. So now let's run Flutter version again. And it looks like we're running Flutter 2.10.4, Dart 2.16.2. So we're looking good there. So now we need a source code editor to be able to edit the Flutter source code. And we're going to use Visual Studio Code. So I went to code.visualstudio.com. And we're just going to click this link, download Mac Universal right here. So I go into my downloads folder and I see Visual Studio Code here. This is the actual application. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to drag it into applications. From in there, I'll click on Visual Studio Code and then I'm inside. So we're going to install a few extensions. So we're going to click right here. I'm going to type in Flutter here. If we click on Flutter, it should say Flutter Support and Debugger for Visual Studio Code. I'm going to install this. Once it's done, you should see Disable and Uninstall here, and it should have also installed Dart. And yes, it does look like it did. So now we have to add Visual Studio Code also to our path. So we can go back into ZSHRC. And down here below the export, I will paste this line right here. I'm going to type Control X. Close the terminal again. Reopen the terminal. So now we can actually open up the Flutter sample app inside Visual Studio Code and give it a test. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a folder inside the Documents folder. So I'm going to go into Documents. Terminal would like to access files in your documents folder. Okay. And I'm just going to type mkdir Flutter. So now I have a Flutter folder in there. So now that I'm in here, I'm going to type in Flutter create test app. We can go into test app. And now we can just type code period, which opens Visual Studio Code in the current directory. And there we go. It's going to say, do you trust the authors of the files in this folder? I'm going to say, yes, I do. It also asks, would you like to use recommended VS Code settings for Dart and Flutter? Might as well. I'm going to click yes. So if everything worked correctly, we should see main.dart in here now. The very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into preferences. I'm going to go into the text editor, into font, and I'm going to change this to 24. And that's my preferred size. So we don't have any emulators or simulators set up yet, but we do have access to Chrome. So I'm going to click up here and run without debugging. And let's see if we can get something with Flutter up and running. And there we go. There is the default app, and it appears to be working correctly. So we got Flutter installed and we got Visual Studio Code installed. Now we're going to install XCode, which we need for the iOS simulators. So installing XCode is a little bit easier. We can just go into the App Store here. And we're going to type Xcode in the search bar. And there we go. There's Xcode. So I'm going to download it. Okay, now that Xcode is installed, we're going to go ahead and open it. We will agree to the agreement. I'll type in my password. So now we have Xcode open. We can now go into Xcode up here at the top and go to Open Developer Tool. And we'll do Simulator. Okay, so it opened up iPhone SE, and now we should be able to open up Visual Studio Code again. We'll open up that test app by going to Open Recent Test App. So you'll see down here at the bottom it says iPhone SE now, so we should be able to emulate this app inside the iPhone simulator. So we'll click up here like we did the last time and do Run Without Debugging. And there we go, it's on our screen and does appear to work. So we have Flutter on our system and we have a source code editor with Visual Studio Code, and we can simulate iOS devices with Xcode. We now need a way to emulate Android devices. We're going to install Android Studio for that. So we'll open up our trusty browser. We will search for Android Studio and we will come to this developer.android.com link. We are now going to download Android Studio. We will accept the terms. And we are on an Intel Mac, so we're going to click this Mac with Intel chip. Okay, now that it's downloaded, we will go to our downloads folder and we will double click this Android Studio file here. So we will take that and drag it into applications. I'll close that and go into applications now. And there it is right at the top. So we do not have any settings to import, so we'll just say do not import. This is up to you if you want to send usage statistics to Google. I'm going to click don't send. So we have the Android Studio window open up here. I'll click next. I'm just going to click standard on the setup. I prefer dark. You can choose light if you prefer. And then everything looks good. I'm going to click next. Here's another license agreement. I'm going to click accept and go down to this one and click accept as well, and then finish. So I will now click finish. So instead of clicking a new project, we're going to click this more actions and click on this virtual device manager. We're going to click create a virtual device. Now you can select whatever you want to select here. I will point out that this Play Store emblem that you see here means that these phones have Play Store capability. That means that you can actually get the Play Store on these. So I'm going to go ahead and just go with this Pixel 4 here. Here we will select a system image. I'm going to click this top one here. So now that this is done installing, I'll click finish, hit next, and we'll just leave the defaults here for now. I'll click finish. So now you should have an emulator you can use. We're going to click this play button here to open it up. Okay, we opened Visual Studio Code back up now that we have a working version of the Android emulator. And you should see it down here in the bottom, just like you did the iOS device. If you don't see it down here, close Visual Studio Code and reopen it, and it should pop up there. So once again, we're going to click up here at the top and do Run Without Debugging. All right, we now have the sample app up and running on our Android device, and it also appears to be working. There was a slight lag there, but for the most part, it does look like it's working. Hello, Future Tommy here. I realized that I forgot a few things, so we need to look at Flutter Doctor here. And we'll notice a few things in the Android tool chain that we need to resolve. One of them is the command line tools. So it says we can just run this right here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Command Space and open up Android Studio. I'm going to click on More Actions and go to SDK Manager. I'm going to click the SDK Tools tab, and in here you'll see the Android SDK command line tools. So I'll click on that and hit Apply. Then I'll hit OK here. Now that that's done, I'll press Finish and OK. Running Flutter Doctor again, you'll notice that that one is now missing. We just have to accept some Android licenses. So I'm going to run this right here. And then you'll want to put this on the same line. So it says I have 5 licenses not accepted. Do I want to review the licenses? I'm going to click yes. And then I'm just going to accept them. So now when I run Flutter Doctor, okay, everything in the Android tool chain is resolved now. So it's saying for XCode, we need to install CocoaPods. To install CocoaPods, it looks like we're going to need the command line tools that we have to get from Apple. And it looks like you do need an Apple account. When you get there, it's going to ask you to log in. Once you're inside, you're going to get these command line tools here. So now that it's done downloading, I'm going to go into my downloads folder and run that. Accept all the licenses. So now that it's done, I'll press close. Now we can go back to our command line, and now we will install CocoaPods. Okay, it says it's installed, so we're going to run Flutter Doctor. And everything is looking good now. So this should get you Flutter. This should get you a source code editor. This should get you the ability to test with iOS devices. This should get you the ability to test with Android devices. And also you can test with web. The only thing left to do is to start creating. So I hope to see you in the next one.